This is my weekly update on my Zombicide Undead or Alive massive campaign I'm building. And I just wanted to update where I stand right now. I was working on the lore, and I think I've come up with some good points for the lore. And I picked the 10 terminal cities, as I'm going to call them. And it's going to be built in Google Maps, along with some printable PDFs and downloads and missions. I have a whole idea for that, but I had to nail down the lore. So let me share what I got so far. This is the map that I'm using right now. It's built in Google My Maps. I'll share it once I get it updated. But again, I had to build a lore, and I'll get into that in just a sec. But these are the 10 cities I've selected as kind of terminal hubs. I ran a script based on all the cities I wanted to kind of touch base, mixing historical folklore with historical events into this massive campaign. And this is the 10 that can branch out to them. So I had to build a lore based on these. So let me go a little into detail. As you can see on the column right there, you'll see the 10 cities kind of broken up. The West Coast and the East Coast in the game lore, it states in the piece of content, but it states that the Steam tech, the East essentially felt bad for the West and was helping them out. I kind of played off of that and went with it. So here's on this map, we have the West Coast, which is controlled by the Central Pacific Rail Company, and those are all the orange lines. And then we have the East Coast, which is controlled by the Pacific Union Railway Company because of the Railway Act of 1862, I think. I'll have my timeline of events over there. And then there's this bottom one between El Paso and New Orleans, which is kind of like a black market type of thing, and I get more into that in the lore. But these are going to be the 10 cities. Each one's planning to have, you roll into there and you roll your dice, 3d6 dices, and based on the total number outcome is the mission that you get to do. And I'm still debating if I'm going to use adrenaline points or campaign points. I think adrenaline points are kind of what I'm going to use as the currency to go between these cities. I also am going to have them buy stuff from the local blacksmith and so on and so on. But that'll be down the road a little bit. I just had to nail the lore. And let me get into the lore that I have so far. This is kind of the timeline of events I have. I took some historical context, put them into the game lore, and added in some stuff. I selected 1872 as the date of the outbreak. I don't know if that's the exact date they had in there, but that's the date I'm going with because I wanted to add in these certain events to really focus on the rail company and the motto of full steam ahead, anything we get going. So essentially what it is the two rail companies are kind of running the United States. The government's kind of keeping it secret what's going on. It's after the Civil War, so the North is kind of isolated the South, and you can only go through Atlanta to get to the South. They're upset with them. Everybody's blaming everybody. Uh, they're taking the resources from the West and feeding what I call the triplets, and the triplets are Chicago, which is home to the steam wealth. Then you have Pittsburgh, which is where all the steam tech comes from and is built out there. And then you have New York, which is home to the old wealth, which is like your stockbrokers and everybody who is generational wealthy, kind of pompous, more pompous, but they're all home to there. I do add in some historical cults and religious factors in there, and not intentionally to offend anybody, but I was kind of going with what I was researching on history during the time period. And then we have, like I said, the rail companies fighting over the South. What is kind of different though is the coal, because they're zombies, so the mines get affected by the zombies, so you have to shut them down. But there is discovery of this thing called Cajun fire. This is kind of where I took some creative liberty. Cajun fire is like sulfur and coal dust and pine resin that can make a material that burns higher and longer than coal, and the steam tech really wants it. So everything goes to the triplets, as they call it, essentially Pittsburgh, and that's where all the resources go from the west and the south go up there. There's going to be abominations assigned. I've assigned the abominations to certain regions, and now I have left is to assign the survivors to different locations or regions, make the missions, I've split up the category of what they're going to be, and there's going to be a total. When you come into the city, you can roll. And there's going to be a total of 16 different types of missions that happen. One of them, if you get all sixes, is going to be a catastrophic mission for each one, but that's going to be part of phase one. And it'll be you can use a Google Map or to help you, as you saw before. Google Map, I'll publish it and share it within. But that's where I'm at right now. Hopefully next week I'll be a little bit further than where I'm at because the lore took forever. But if you want to access and see the lore, I'll put a description link in the. I'll put a link to the Google Doc that I'm using, and you guys are more than welcome to put your comments on there in the description below. I'll lock it so you can't change it, but I'll allow you to edit it. It'll just be a Google Doc that I'm using. I'm open for suggestions or any ideas. Please feel free to tear it apart or whatever. If you're watching this at a future time, I might have locked it up because I came up and kind of broke the lore and moved on past that. So that's it. It'll just send you to the map. Other than that, see you guys next week.